Hello, I'm Chris Costantini. My topic for tonight is protein powder's effectiveness on muscle development in athletes. Just a little background about myself. I consider myself an athletic person. I like to play all types of sports. I go to the gym regularly, so that gave me and incentivized me to go ahead and do some research about what is the most effective way of getting your muscles to the optimum size, strength, definition that you really want to be at. So my proposition is the intake of protein powder is the most effective way to develop muscles, strength, size, and definition. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and give you guys the definition of protein powder if you're not familiar with what protein powder is. Protein comes in various forms. The three most common ones are whey, soy, and casein protein. Peter Horvath, PhD in exercise and nutrition science at the State University of New York at Buffalo, says whey protein is most commonly used because it is water-soluble milk protein. It is also a complete protein, so it's got all the advantages. Complete protein contains all 9 amino acids necessary for human dietary needs. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead into my first point of evidence. Protein powder intake will greatly benefit the development of muscles and prevent injuries. So as you guys might know, everybody needs to consume protein every single day. The average male consumes 56 grams, should consume 56 grams of protein on a daily basis, and the average woman should consume about 48 grams of protein on a regular basis. That is just to be a healthy human being. That's what's recommended. And without these proteins on a daily, your muscles wouldn't heal. If you guys aren't familiar with how exercising works and growth of muscles, when you do lift high weights at the gym, for example, you're tearing muscle fibers in your muscles. These are microscopic fibers that are being torn, and the proteins are what helps recover these fibers and will then result in a growth and strengthening of the muscle. If you do not consume these proteins on a daily, or if you do not consume these after you do work out, it could lead to overtraining and stress in the muscles, resulting in injuries. So it is very important to feed the body with protein and amino acids, which is contained in proteins. I'm going to go into my second point of evidence. Consuming protein powder directly after a workout is more efficient than eating a meal to develop strength, size, and definition of a muscle. If you guys were wondering what the argument really is about the intake of protein powder, many times people will argue that, athletes or bodybuilders will argue that it is more effective to actually eat a meal instead of taking protein shakes to gain strength and size of muscles. Protein powder is actually already broken down complex proteins, so when you do take protein shakes, it is processed much faster in your body than if you, for example, ate a large steak, which is filled with complex proteins, or lean chicken, which is also recommended to eat after you do work out. So the optimum timing for muscle recovery after a workout is 30 minutes to an hour after you work out. So it is very important that the protein is digested and it is taken to the muscle as soon as after a workout, which isn't as easy to do if you eat a steak or a big piece of chicken, which is just sitting in your stomach digesting, taking a while to process and get those proteins to the muscle. So protein powder is the most efficient and also most convenient way to recover muscles, which leads into my next point. Protein shakes are portable and very easy to make. A lot of times you'll go to the gym, you see people with sport drinks, sport shakes, sport bottles. These can just typically be filled with protein. You could just fill it with water or milk, whatever you decide to make the mix with. It'll dilute the proteins and turn it into a shake and for you to consume. These are also very affordable. A lot of times proteins will vary from $50 to $100 depending on the quality of the protein. So it does save a lot of money because you do have access to protein on a regular basis. So it saves a lot of money for athletes, and which would otherwise be spent on food. And many times high quality food is very expensive. So in conclusion, consuming protein will prevent injuries by keeping the muscles healthy. Protein shakes are great for optimum timing in the recovery of the muscle. And like I said previously, they're portable and cost efficient, especially for college students on a budget. Thank you.
All right, Chris, you identify the proposition pretty clearly. It sounds like it's got multiple parts in the last section of it. I thought at first that that might be the preview, but as I listened to the structure of the speech, that's not what it was. So you do have multiple claims built into the main proposition. Ouch! There actually isn't a preview of the supporting structure, so that's a little bit of a problem. Although you do a good job in the body of the speech signposting the main points. It was easy to follow because you gave us a numerical signpost at that. You provided a little bit of transition. So even though we didn't have the preview, it wasn't too hard to follow because you kind of led us around a little bit in the body of the speech. The only source that I heard cited was the Horvath quote that you started with on proteins and what's in those shakes, and then after that, everything else is largely asserted. I didn't hear a reference to any experts. I didn't hear any statistical information. There's some factual data that you present that you treat as if it's true, but I don't know, for instance, who says that you need 56 to 48 grams, depending on if you're a man or a woman, to be healthy? Where did this recovery time from 30 minutes to an hour afterwards come into play? There's this kind of hypothetical about the cost. I don't think that you're making stuff up. I assume that the cost is probably pretty much the way you described it. But does the average person need this, or only people who are athletes and bodybuilders? And those who are athletes and bodybuilders, you basically are making a contrast to other types of foods that they could be eating at the end. And you assert that it's, the digestion is going to be faster, or that if it's a complex food that they're eating, that there's going to be more problems in that process. But like I said, that's mostly your assertion on those points. So, the structure is okay, the proposition's okay. I just think that there's a lot of assumption here, and that's not documented, and a lot of assertion on these sorts of things. This sounds like an argument that might be made by somebody who's selling protein powder at the gym, trying to convince people to do this. And I would be, the first thing I say is, well, who says this? Where did you get this information? Why do you believe that? Whenever my wife says something to me that I don't believe, I always get myself in trouble. I say, what comic book did you read that in? And so that's my question. What comic book did you read that in? Where did you get that data? Some of it seems to be intuitively truthful and accurate, but some of it I'm just going, wait a second, you're asking me to make a big inference here that this is superior in some way or necessary for us to do, and I'm going to need better proof on those claims. All right, thank you.